Detectives tell me they see a crime of passion and evidence that Ruth's killer is no stranger. Ruth was found blocking the only door to the house that was unlocked.
Tamron Hall, you are proving to be the busiest woman in news right now. You're hosting another show, Deadline Crime with Tamron Hall. What can viewers expect from the show?
Well, I think the show is consistent with a lot of what you see on Discovery ID. You have this huge loyal fan base. They call themselves ID addicts. And they are just intrigued and really pulled in by real-life drama, real-life crime.
Have there been any stories that have kind of like stopped you in your tracks?
All of them do, but I'll tell you, one in particular, a mother of two, was taken from her family's front yard. And her father was inside the home at the time, and he was asleep, and he heard dogs barking, and he thought the dogs were just being, loud and in pain, and he didn't get up. And by the time he did get up, she was gone. He had no idea what was going on. And when I interviewed him, he broke down in tears. And this has been a couple of years now, and I saw in his eyes a dad who was in such pain, believing that he could have saved his daughter. Here was this semi-truck driver, hard-working, salt-of-the-earth Midwest man who broke down in front of me to the point where I thought, I can't continue this interview. And I had to hug him, and I had to tell him it was going to be okay. And in reality, it's not, because his daughter will never be there for him to hug again.
In 2010, you wrote a story for the Griot about your sister's death that was ruled a homicide. Do these stories that you cover on this show ever become personal for you?
Well, my sister's death was ruled a homicide, blunt force trauma to the back of the head. No one was ever charged in her homicide or in her murder. No suspect was named. My sister's case, for me, and things that I know personally happened in her past and in her life, has led me to focus a lot of my attention on domestic violence. We don't know what happened in her case. We don't know. What I do know is that she was found in a swimming pool in the back of her home, face down, and it was ruled a homicide. My journey to speak out against domestic violence was based on conversations I had with my sister and intimate details of her life that made me feel that she felt alone and was dealing with things that she truly believed that she couldn't talk about, or that somehow she deserved. Choices that she'd made put her in that situation that she was forced to live and exist in. So with us, we're tackling a lot of things. We're not putting our hand in one pot. Our goal is to bring compelling stories that I think that people will be intrigued by, but also some stories that they will want to take action after seeing, particularly as it relates to domestic violence.
And I mean, with MSNBC, you cover so many of these stories in our news cycle right now. Would you say that our justice system is fair?
Wow, that's a great question. Listen, I interviewed a man 10 years ago who spent 25 years behind bars on death row for a crime he did not commit. He had the mental capacity of, I think, like a 5-year-old. I interviewed him the day he was released. I was a reporter in Chicago. I can only tell you, based on that life-changing experience in interviewing this man, something is not fair. Now, I'm not saying that applies to all cases, but if one man can spend 25 years behind bars on death row for something he did not do, I would be remiss to say that it is a fair system.
Wow.